Hello, my dear student. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you all are quite okay and fine. Welcome you all to my today online class. Before going to start my today's lecture, first of all, I would like to introduce myself to all of you. I am Muhammad Ghulam Morshed, lecturer of biology, Milestone College, Uttara, Dhaka. Now let's start our today's lecture. The learning output. After completing this lesson, the student should be able to tell the definition of plastid, chloroplast, leucoplast, Golgi body, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. Student can also explain the structure and functions of the different types of simple tissue in plant. Now, first of all, I would like to discuss about the plastid. Okay. What is plastid? The plastid is an important organelle for a plant cell. The main functions of the plastid are to produce and store food and causes the appealing and colorful appearance of the flowers, fruits and leaves of the plant. Flowers with appealing colors helps in pollination. Now let's discuss about the types of plastid. Okay. There are three categories of the plastid, which are commonly found in the green plants. Okay. Number one, the chloroplast. B, the chromoplast. C, leucoplast. Now, first of all, I would like to discuss about the chloroplast. Okay. Chloroplast, actually, this is the green plastid. Okay. This plastid is basically involved in the photosynthesis, and this chloroplast is actually bear the chlorophyll, and due to the presence of the chlorophyll, plants can prepare their own food by the process of the photosynthesis. And each chloroplast have two parts, mainly stroma and the grana. Actually, grana is responsible for capturing the photon or light energy of the sun and convert it into the chemical energy. And by the utilization of this chemical energy, the carbohydrate is actually formed from the carbon dioxide and the water, and this process is actually take place as in the stroma of the chloroplast. Okay. So the main functions of the chloroplast is the store, prepared or production of the food, and the store of the food. Okay. The green plants plastids are actually chloroplast. Occurrence found in the cells of the leaves, young stems, and other green parts of the plant. Now the chromoplast. This is the another types of plastid. Chromoplast are colored but are not green. The photosynthetic pigments, xanthophyll, carotene, phycoerythrin, and phycocyanin, etc. are present in them. The flowers, leaves, and other parts of the plants have their attractive, colorful appearance because of their pigments. The main purpose is to make flower attractive for pollination. Now the leucoplast. In contrast to other plastid, leucoplasts are non-pigmented. They are usually found in the cells of the plant parts where sunlight does not reach. Roots, ovaries, and embryos. The main function is the storage of food. The leucoplast can be transferred into chromoplast or chloroplast when they come in contact with sunlight. Now let's discuss about another cell organelle. This is the membrane-bound cell organelles, that is the Golgi body. Golgi body is basically found within the cytoplasm of the both plants and animal cell. And this cell is basically composed of some membrane-bound vesicle and cisternae, and Golgi body is mainly involved in the synthesis of the hormones and some other substances, and they can also store the protein substance, and various kinds of physiological activities is actually performed by the Golgi body. If you look at the figure here, this is the figure of the Golgi body. You see here the large vesicles. This is the vesicles, and the cisternae. Okay. Another very important cell organelles, membrane-bound cell organelles, that is the endoplasmic reticulum. Ribosomes are studied with endoplasmic site of rough endoplasmic reticulum, and so protein are synthesized in this place. Membrane-bound vesicles from endoplasmic reticulum shuttle protein and other materials produced in a cell. It is assumed that the enzymes from other cells and the other substance produced inside the cells are transported by endoplasmic reticulum. It also plays a significant role in the development of the mitochondria and the vacuoles, etc. Now the cell vacuole. This is another membrane-bound organelles which are found mainly in the plant cell, but they can also found in the animal cells. But if they found in the animal cell, their size is very smaller in size. The large vacuoles is a prime feature of the plant cell. Its main function is to contain cell sap. Different types of substance such as inorganic salt, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, organic acid, pigments, water are actually found in the cell vacuole. Now, another very important membrane-bound cell organelles, which is called the lysosome. Lysosome protects the cells from germs. The lysosome enzymes kills germs. These enzymes are protected by a membrane so that other organelles does not get digested when they come in contact with this enzyme. The organelles adjacent to lysosomes are digested if the membrane of the lysosome is destroyed due to oxygen deficiency. Actually, this is the very important cells organelles which is actually involved in killing of any types of germs, and it can digest all other cell organelle if there is a deficiency of oxygen, and this process is actually called the autolysis or autophagy. Now the cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton is a complex network of the fiber that shapes the shell and hold organelles in place. This fiber consists of a complex mesh of protein filament. Actin, myosin, tubulin are some of the protein that are used to make fibers. Microtubules, actin filaments, and intermediate filaments are some of the fiber in the cytoskeleton. A centriole. Now another very important cells organelle, that is the centrosome. The centriole is a hollow cylindrical organelle inside the centrosome. Centrosome is basically found in the plant cell, but in some lower plants it may also found. Okay, and centrosome. If you look at the figure here, this is the centrosome, and this centriole is basically involved in the formation of the aster ray, and it is also responsible for the formation of the spindle apparatus. Okay, centriole is actually surrounded by a jelly-like substance which is called the centrosphere, and centrosphere and centriole actually constitute the centrosome. Okay. Now this is the very important membrane-bound cells organelle which is called the nucleus. Okay, this is the membrane-bound cells organelle. Okay, this is the very important cells organelle. This is shape is spherical or round shape, and mature RBC and does not have any nucleus. Okay, and Sif cell does not have any nucleus in case of plant. Okay, and this is a very important cell organelles. The nucleus has some important part. This is the nuclear membrane, nucleoplasm, and the nucleolus, and finally the chromatin materials, chromatin reticulum. The nuclear membrane the nucleus is actually encircled or surrounded by a double layer membrane, which is called the nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is basically double layered, and it is made up of protein and lipid. Okay, and in the nuclear membrane there are some pore. Through this pore, different types of chemical substance are actually exchange of the different types of chemical substance between the nucleoplasm and the cytoplasm take places through this nuclear pore. Okay, uh, and nucleoplasm, if you look at the figure, nucleoplasm is the jelly-like substance which are actually found inside the nucleus. This is the very jelly-like substance. It actually contains nucleic acid, proteins, and enzymes, and other substance also present here. And the nucleolus is the another round-shaped, round bodies which is attached to the chromosomes. Okay, and this is actually made up of nucleic acid and protein, RNA and proteins mainly. Okay, and finally the chromatin materials. If you look at the figure, in the nucleoplasm there are some thread-like elongated thread-like structure are actually found. This is called the chromatin reticulum. During the resting phase, these chromatin materials is appear like a thread-like structure, but when the during the cell division time, during the division of the cell, this chromatin materials becomes condensed and thickened and form a chromosome. Okay, and the chromosome is the main hereditary materials of the living organism. It bears the gene, and gene is actually control all the activities of the cell, and this gene is actually carry the genetic hereditary character or different types of character from one generation to the next generation. Okay, now let's discuss about the plant tissue. Okay, what is plant tissue? A group of similar or different types of cells with the same origin and performing a specific function is actually called the tissue. Okay, plant tissue are of mainly two types. Number one, meristematic tissue. Number two, permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue are those tissue which have the capacity of the division, cell division. The cells having the dividing capability. Okay, permanent tissue does not have any cell division capability. Now the plant tissue, permanent tissue are of mainly three types. Number one, simple tissue. Number two, complex tissue. And number three, secretory tissue. Now what is simple tissue? The tissue which contains cells of the same shape, size and structure is actually called the simple tissue. Simple tissue are of mainly three types: parenchyma, number one parenchyma, number two collenchyma, and number three sclerenchyma. Now let's discuss about the parenchyma tissue. What is parenchyma tissue? If you look at the figure here, this is the parenchyma cells. Actually, these parenchyma cells are mainly found almost every parts of the cell of the plants. Okay, the cell are actually round in shape, and their cell wall is very thin and made up of cellulose. Intercellular space is actually found in the parenchyma cell, and this cell is basically responsible for production of carbohydrate and storing of the food. Sometimes the parenchyma cell contain the chloroplast. These types of parenchyma cell is actually called the chlorenchyma. Sometimes the parenchyma cell contain the air-filled cavity, and these types of parenchyma is actually called the erenchyma, and these are mainly found in the aquatic plants. Okay. Now let's discuss about the another simple tissue, that is the collenchyma. Okay, if you look at the figure here, this is the structure of the collenchyma. The cell is actually elongated, living, and protoplasm is there. Okay, protoplasm is there, and the cell wall is actually irregularly thickened, and thickening is actually found at the corner of the cell. Intercellular space may be found in case of the collenchyma, and this collenchyma cell is basically responsible for storing of food. and their cell wall is basically made up of cellulose and pectin, and this cell each provide the mechanical support and rigidity to the plants. For example, uh, leucas plants, it can give a mechanical rigidity to the leucas plant. Okay. Now, last of all, the sclerenchyma cell. It is a very important uh, simple permanent tissue. If you look at the figure here, this is the elongated cell. The cell is actually at the early stage of the cells was living, but when it become mature, the protoplasm losses and it becomes a dead cell. Okay, the cell wall is very thick and is made up of lignin. Okay, and the main functions of the sclerenchyma cells is to give the mechanical support to the plants. It is also involved or responsible for conduction of minerals and water. Okay, sclerenchyma cells are basically two types: sclerite and fiber. Fibers are actually elongated cell, elongated, and cell wall is very thickened, and there is a pit membrane is there. Okay, for example, bast fiber, parent phloem, xylem fiber. These are the some example of the fiber of the parenchyma cell. Now the sclerite. Sclerite is another important. This is the shortest, or it is not elongated but shortest sclerenchyma cell, and this is the very hard cell, and it is also known as the stone cell. Okay, stone cell. And now let's discuss now the homeworks. Write down the comparison among parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma tissue. Thank you for your patient sharing. I think today's lecture was very much effective lecture for all of us. I am humble requesting you all to watch my video lecture for several times so that you can understand each and every topic that have already discussed here today. If you have any queries regarding my today's lecture, feel free to ask me, or you can also ask your respective subject teacher. Thank you all. Khuda Hafiz.